Am I the one viewer? Oh yes, I'm the one viewer. Okay. Hi everyone. Although it's just me. Oh, hello, how late? This is our first few times doing live on this channel. We're just basically what we go through is go through English questions. For me, oh the person left. Okay. It's okay. Okay. I'll just begin the paper. If there's anyone that have any question, you guys can just type it down, okay? I thought someone commented. Hello everyone. Okay, but yes. So today I'm doing 2022 Rulang EOY question paper, not question. But yes, okay. So the first one, the price of buying a car, blank reason. My uncle cannot afford it anymore. So over here the options is, are, has, have. So you have to choose. For those of you that don't know how this works, it's basically 四选一. So yeah, you just need to choose the right answer. Okay, so over here, the main thing that you're looking at is this. So in the case, it's the main subject. I'll put subject in this parenthesis because it's not actually, or rather, it's not usually a thing that people consider as a subject. Okay, then over here, the price, you have to look at this and then you see this. So over here, oops, over here your auxiliary verb has to match the word reason. Okay, so usually when you see reason, this is the past not past perfect but past participle. Okay, and in this case we need to have present perfect. So this is why 3 is the answer. Okay, because 1 and 2 is not the right auxiliary verb, and 4 is plural. Okay, and we need singular because in this case the main subject is singular. Hi, good luck. Hello, 你好. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Next one would, why is it? Okay, hold on. So the next one would be testing words like since, unless, though, despite. So these kinds are known to either connect or show contrast. Okay, so when you're writing English sentences, you can use this kind to vary your sentence structure. Okay, let's look at the content of this question, or this sentence rather. So Mr. Yo made it to the airport on time. So this is the first clue, on time. Blank waking up late this morning. So over here, these two ideas, they contradict each other. Okay, these two ideas would not go hand in hand, because usually if you wake up late, you'll be late for school, even if you take a Grab or whatsoever. It just depends how late you wake up. Okay, so over here it contradicts. So in other words, we need to find word that has contrast. Okay, so contrast in other word is 相差. Okay, then now over here, the word that tells us about contrast is this word despite. Okay, so despite, despite is kind of, oh, the person left. Okay, it's okay. So despite is more of 即使 okay, so 即使他晚起床，他还是哦 on time is, it's not 早 but 刚好 okay, or 准时 okay. Then now since is to show cause, it's not really to show contrast, unless it's used to show a condition, not really contrast as well. And though requires a full clause after it, not just this phrase, okay? Okay, so okay, so the clause, for those of you that are wondering what's a clause, clause is basically a group of words that contain both subject plus a predicate. Okay. I.e. to say this is a verb. So clause you need to have a subject plus a verb. Okay. Over here is just purely a verb. That's why you don't use it. Okay, next, moving on. Hi. Hello, I were. I mean, I only can see I were, so. Hello, 大家好. Okay. So next, moving on. So neither of the boys blank where they have placed their storybooks. So usually this word neither, oh, okay. Neither usually pair with nor, and this is to join two negative ideas. Okay. So neither nor, two negative ideas, and for the subject you would look at the one closest to nor. Okay. Why does it keep? Okay. But over here there's no nor, right? That is missing. This neither nor is just a common theme. Not common theme, a common thing. So over here, neither of the boys, neither itself will also mean singular, because I would be saying not one of them. Okay, not even one in this case. And over here, let's look at the options. We have remember, remembers, remembered, and has remembered. So this word, remember, remember is a verb. In other words, we say it's 动词. Okay, so for verbs, singular, you have to add s, and for plural you don't add s. Okay, so that's the difference between verbs and nouns. So over here, neither of the boys, so singular, according to what we have identified, for verbs you add s, that's why the answer is 2. Okay, over here the option for number 4, has remembered, this is present perfect tense, and it's not really needed here. We don't need to show that it started from the past and ended now. Okay, okay, let me erase this. Okay, moving on. Tina made her best friend what when she cracked a joke. So it comes back to the same options, right? Because laugh is also a verb. So to recall, singular we add s, plural we don't add s. But okay, then over here we identify that over here it's singular, correct? Because this is the person that is doing the action, the doer in this case. So made her best friend what when she cracked a joke. So This is special because of this word made here. So there's this rule, verb, noun, verb. So you see this verb over here. This is a noun and this is the verb. So whenever you identify questions like this verb over here has to be in its bare infinitive or its base form. Okay, so what does bare infinitive of base or base form mean? It's just the present tense of it, the original form of that word. So in this case, the original would be laugh. Don't need to add s, don't need to add ed or ing. I know that because we said singular, you have to add s, right? But we need the bare infinitive. Adding a s to the verb is not its bare infinitive. It's not its original form. Okay, moving on. Question 5. If I blank it was going to rain, I would bring an umbrella. So this kind of questions, whenever you see if and then you would do something, it's always conditionals. So there is 3 kinds of conditional. First kind of conditional is present tense. Hello, hi 焦糖马吉. So first conditional is if I will, if I can, I will. Yeah. So I need to say this is present tense. Next would be if I could, I would. So this would be past. Simple present, simple past. Okay, and last one would be let's switch it up a bit. If I had known about this, I would have. Okay, so this would be perfect. Perfect tense. So over here, do you see anything? It only has would, right? Because there's no have in this case. So if and would means that this is a second conditional sentence. So over here, your answer is already pretty easy. If I knew, okay, nothing else to choose. If it's first conditional, then your answer in this case would be 1. If it's third conditional, your answer should have been 3. Okay, then you don't need to talk about option 4. Okay, next question 6. The chef is well known blank his culinary skills. So the chef is well known what for his culinary skills? This is more of a collocation. Hi, Zhang Shihao. Okay, but yes, this is more of a collocation, okay? So what are collocations? Collocations are basically commonly said phrases. In other words, you can just say it's common phrases, okay? So over here, well-known what? What's the right preposition to use? In would usually means directly in something, quite literally. By would be more of method. Like, how do you come to school? I came by bus. Something like that. Or I came by this route. Of. Of usually means belonging. Or 属于谁. Hi ZZ. So over here, the right answer is 4. Okay, because the common phrase or the common saying here is the chef is well known for. So you're well known for something, for a particular set of skill, for a particular reason. Okay, so well known for this would be reason. So you must give me a reason why you're well known for this thing. Okay, next, moving on. Why is it glitching? Okay, next. So, although Uncle Lee put in blank effort to quit smoking, he had not been successful in curbing the bad habit. So, over here, if you see this, these are quantifiers. Okay, so we must look at what we are talking about here. Although Uncle Lee put in effort, so we must first ask ourselves, is this uncountable or countable? Okay, so as you can tell, effort is something that's uncountable. Yes, you could give people praise and validation by saying, yes, I did see you put in effort, but it's not tangible. It's not something that's tangible. So in this case, it's intangible. Okay, so what effort would be, uh, let's choose, or rather, let's cross out the ones that are countable first. Many is definitely countable, like you have many apples because I can count one apple, two apples. Several can be used for countable or uncountable. Depends on how you want to use it, how you want to specify it. What the parameters in your context. Over here, little and much are both uncountable, but what's the difference is that this is little, that means 少 or much 多, okay? A lot, i.e. to say it's a lot. So over here, looking at the context of our question, it says that he had not been successful. So also when you see this word although, you would know that this is contrast. Okay? So it's not the same. That's why over here, you would say to, usually you would put in a lot of effort to be successful in something. So to show that it has contrast, it would be he put in much effort, not little effort. Because if he put in little effort, obviously he would not be successful. Like that is the first thing that comes to mind. Because if you want something, you should definitely work for it. Okay? Hi, Pao 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 Pao. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so what baffled the scientists the most? Blank the frequent droughts that took place in the region. So the most blank the frequent droughts. Is it is, are, was, or were? So what's the difference between all this, right? Hi poo poo. If I were to draw a box, so is, are, was, and were. If I go this way with the yellow highlighter and this way with the blue, we can see what's the relation between them. Okay, so let's start with the blue one first. So blue one would be whether it's singular or plural. Okay, then the yellow one would be present or past tense. So what baffled the scientists the most? Blank the frequent droughts that took place in the region. So over here, we see baffled. So we can identify that this is past tense. So option 1 and 2 are out because they are present tense. Okay, then next, was and were. What's the difference? It's between this, right? Singular or plural. So this is singular past tense, and this is plural past. So you need to identify in your question what is the thing that you are looking at. Over here, your main subject is droughts. Okay, so since we already identified that this is past and plural, then we choose plural past. So it's as simple as that. So obviously it will get a bit more tedious and difficult at the start, but after a while, once you get used to it, you can do based on how fluent it or how coherent it sounds. But provided that you have the concept down. Okay, so next. Tom blanked down on the grass to relax with his family upon arriving at the park this morning. So Tom lay down on the grass to relax with his family. Tom lay down, Tom laid down, or Tom lied down. So this one is slightly tricky. So for this one, the answer would be this, okay? So lay is the simple past of lie. Because yeah, describing something that happened in the past this morning, okay? That's why we need simple past. Next, this is a base form. As we said, lay is the simple past of lie. But lie also has another meaning, which means to tell untruth. So if you were to look at that, then this is the past tense of the word. Okay? Next, laid is the past tense of lay. Okay, and this lay is to put something down. So this one is, I would say, more confusing in a sense because they have different meanings and you need to see which meaning you're looking at, and they have different past tense. Okay, so next, moving on. Question 10. She'd be glad that you helped to clean up after the party blank, asked my father. So is it won't she, didn't she, hadn't she, or wouldn't she? So over here you can tell that this is question tag. So for question tags, if the front is positive, the back will be negative, and vice versa. That's how you would do this question. So let's read. She'd be glad that you helped to clean up after the party blank. So this is known as a contraction. Okay? And in this case, she is the same as she would. Okay, so if I continue, it will be she would be glad. So over here, we already identified the right verb to use. Okay, we need the right auxiliary verb. So had is out, did is out. Won't and wouldn't. What's the difference? This is future. So will is future tense and the past tense of will is would. So over here, we need past tense. Helped to clean. Okay, you see the ed? That means it's past tense. So over here, it should be wouldn't she, not won't she. Okay. Next, moving on to vocab. Okay, so the team did extensive research. Oh, sorry, just did answer, but yeah, the team did extensive research before embarking on their English project. So what is the difference, okay? So over here, recce. This recce is informal. Hi, Vivian. So, informal, and it usually is used in a military context to mean this word, this big word called reconnaissance. So it's usually used in military or scouting locations. That is basically their vocation or their job scope. Okay? Hi, ins. Next, research, which is basically our answer in this case. So what does research mean? Research means a careful and detailed study. Of a specific topic or issue. And usually the main thing that you want to do is to discover new facts. Okay, next, inspection. Inspection is more about examining something physically. Or officially. And investigation would typically be used in crime. In crime or problem context. Okay, so it's not the best word. Not apt here. Okay, hello Momo. Okay, next, moving on. The players' spirits were not blanked by the heavy rain, and they went on to clinch the trophy. So, were not what? Over here, you would see the word heavy rain, clinch the trophy, and talking about spirits. So, the word to use for spirits is always dampen or mood. You can use dampen the mood as well. So, crushed. Crushed is too strong a word, and it suggests total defeat. So this is not a J, this is this. Okay. Reduced. Reduced is vague and doesn't quite fit. Because over here we're talking about emotions. Okay. So doesn't quite go together with emotion. You don't say you reduce a particular emotion. That sounds wrong. Dampen. Dampen means to slightly reduce or lessen. And it's usually used for emotions such as enthusiasm or spirits. Okay, lastly, compromise. Compromise is pretty straightforward, just to mean weakened in integrity or function. So you don't use it with spirits. Okay, so this is one. Another one is to basically find common ground. So you both party would give up something so that everyone can benefit from it. Okay, so it's basically not being selfish. Okay, next, we cannot do without mobile phones, which have become an blank part of our lives. So, which have become what part of our lives? Over here it says cannot do without, i.e., to say this means essential. Essential, crucial, or key. Okay, so over here it says the options are obvious, inevitable, obligatory, or indispensable. So obvious, it's not about necessity. So that's definitely out. What about inevitable? Inevitable means it's certain to happen. It's not about usefulness. So that is out too. Obligatory means required, and usually it's required by who? It's by the law. Or if you're working somewhere that someone has a high authority, they set a certain rule, then you are required to follow, abide by that. Okay? So with the word rule, you can use abide. Or abide the law is also possible. So in this case, this does not apply here. So this is not apt. So our answer is only left with 4. Indispensable. So what does indispensable mean? Indispensable means absolutely necessary. Meaning to say something you cannot do without. Okay, next. Question 14. Ethan had no choice but to blank defeat when he was beaten soundly by his opponent. So Ethan had no choice but to what defeat? This is the key word here. Would you say allow defeat? That sounds a bit weird, right? It doesn't quite fit with the word defeat. Because this is not seen as an object. So it sounds a bit weird. Suffer doesn't match. Does not match with the phrasing prior to the blank. Does not match the phrase. No choice but to. And number 3, which is the answer in this case, concede. Concede means to admit defeat. And since 3 is right, 4 is wrong. So recognize. Recognize is just simply incorrect in this context. Because recognize means to identify. Do you identify defeat? Not really, right? Usually you identify a problem, identify someone, but you don't identify an outcome. Okay? So for this, pretty straightforward. The word choices are pretty straightforward as well. So concede defeat. So concede defeat just means to give up, okay? So the phrase that you have to put here has to have the meaning of giving up. Okay. Next. So question 15. The weary hikers refused to blank and continued their hike up to the summit, even in the extreme weather conditions. So these are idioms. In Chinese, it would be 成语. Okay. So over here, refuse to hit the sack, jump the gun, face the music, or throw in the towel. So the idiom that we need here is based on this contextual clue. It's something that means don't give up. Okay? Because over here it says extreme weather conditions, that means it's very harsh. It's not something that is friendly to the hikers. and they're already weary. Weary means they're tired. Okay? So, what are the different meanings? Hit the sack. Hit the sack means to go to sleep. Jump the gun would means to act prematurely. So this means you are too rash. Okay? Face the music. What does face the music mean? It means to accept consequences. And this does not have the same meaning as having to persevere. Okay? So this is not. Okay, this. Throw in the towel, which would be the answer in this case, because the past three explanations don't quite match what we need in the question. So throw in the towel means to give up or surrender, which is what we want. Okay? So this is 放弃. So over here we need something that says they refuse to give up. 他们没有气馁，没有放弃的意思。Okay? So refuse means 不愿意. Okay, that's why we only need to put give up in this, because this don't part is already covered and refused. Okay, so that'll be all for the MCQs. So right now we're gonna jump to the other options, or rather the other sections. Hi YY. Okay, now basically how to do this is editing. So this is part of the English paper that the primary school students here have to do. So what you have to do is basically identify whether it's what kind of mistake. So it's either a grammar mistake or a spelling mistake. Okay, so let's begin with this. There's nothing much, so I mean no one's commenting, so I'll just give you guys the answer. There's nothing much to say, but the next section then I can try to explain more. Yeah, so over here, as a nation we are getting bigger and munching more. There are effective ways to resist temptations. So it's not Asians. The tempt part is correct. Temptations. Tions, not Ays. So that's the spelling mistake for this. Okay? Okay, next. Begone unhealthy snacks. Snacks such as sweets, ice cream, chips, cakes, and other salty or sugary food that we eat between meals was detrimental to our health. So if we look at this sentence structure, do we see anything that is past tense? If you look at the verb here, this is present. This is not bare infinitive because there's no verb noun verb rule, okay? So this is present tense. So in English, when you write questions, you always need to make sure that your sentence structure it's the same. That means the whatever you put in or whatever you write at the back has to match the parallelism of your sentence. Okay, so over here, first thing is that it's present tense, so this is past. But do we simply change it? If you remember the box that we did, it's is, are, was, were, right? So we identified present tense. Let's identify whether it's singular or plural. Over here, the clue is snacks with an S. Then they listed so many examples. In the example itself, it's also plural. So we know that this should be present tense and plural. So according to the box that we did, this is singular. Are we looking at that? No, right? So we just delete this portion. What's the difference between this? This is present and this is past. So R is the answer. Okay? So are detrimental to our health. Although we have the tendency, this is a T. Tendency is not spelled with an A or SY. Should be tendency. Okay, tendency would just means how often or how tempted are you to do something. Okay, next. We can learn to reduce the consumption of these unhealthy and fatter additions to our diet. So unhealthy, follow the structure, would be fatty. Okay, or fattening is also acceptable. Okay, next. Try to make it a habit to eat snacks just when offered at social events. So should it be just when? Should be only when. Okay? So only during this kind of special situations would you do it. So this would mean specific. Okay, next. Only when offered at social events or at a spatial. So it's not spatial. We're not talking about the space or spatial awareness, meaning to say that you are aware of your surrounding. What this is special. So this is 特别. Okay. Next, moving on. We need to curb our desires. Nuts besides being a healthy snack. So it's trying to say that this is this. Nuts fall under the category of healthy snacks. Okay? So it should be being a healthy snack. Are also fun to eat because they're requiring us to crack them open to extract the contents. Because they what us. Is it requiring us? You wouldn't say that. So over here you would say because they require us. And why is it not requires? Is because this is a verb. Remember, for verbs, it's between singular and plural. Singular you would add s, plural you don't add s. Over here, they is a plural. Okay, that's why you don't add s for that. Making it a therapeutic activity for us and a good distractor from our emotional stress. So, how would you spell distractor? Okay, so distractor, not AKTOR. That's a weird spelling. So the way to spell distractor is DIS, not DES. Then RACTOR. Okay. Next one is also a spelling error. So this being fussy about food. It's not FARSSY. Should be FUSSY. Okay. Being fussy about food caused anxiety in our parents when we were children. However, as an adult, it is wise to be a little particular about our food choices for a balanced diet. We must avoid eating supersized portions throughout our meals and select different varieties of food that provide us with good nutrition. This is the wrong preposition. Should be during. During our meals. Because when does this happen? This is telling me a time. Specific time. When it happens. Okay? And select different varieties of food that provide us with good nutrition. So is it this new? No, right? Should be NU. So nutrition is basically just 营养, okay? 嗨大胡子. Okay, so with this, we are done. So move on to the comprehension close, i.e. to say, for this section, for each blank, you can only fill in one word, and you can only choose to fill either grammar or vocab. Anything that just makes your sentence coherent, more fluent, and flows properly, okay, and bring across the idea that you think the main passage is trying to convey. So, I was running late for work. The auto rickshaw driver who regularly sent me to the bus stop, had called to blank me that he was unavailable that day. So, called me to what me that he was unavailable that day. Your clue regularly sent, so usually he does this. You don't need to second doubt it. You are running late. So he called to tell, or rather a better word, because tell is quite informal, to inform you. Okay, to inform me that he was unavailable that day. Okay, so I left my apartment carrying a handbag and a lunch bag, and blank another auto rickshaw along the road. So these are important clues, okay? And what another auto rickshaw along the road? You don't call, you what a taxi. So usually, what do you do, or what's the right verb, or the more specific verb that is used with calling a cab? It would be hail. And in this case, follow the sentence structure. This is the past tense of the word leave. Okay, this leave is not this leave. Okay, it's different. So over here I need ed, so hailed. So hail can either mean those like really hard rock type balls that drop from the sky, usually it's ice, or you hail down a taxi, okay? When I got off at my destination, I blanked that I only had my lunch bag. So I only had my lunch bag. I realized that I only had my lunch bag. My handbag containing my wallet and mobile phone was left blank in the auto rickshaw. I panicked. This is an exclamation mark. So containing my wallet and mobile phone was left behind. So that's the common phrase, okay? There's more of a phrasal verb. or a collocation. So it was left behind or left, yes. Though you don't say left back in that time someone was asking left back. You left something behind in school, but then you left it back. Okay? So it depends on your sentence structure as well. Okay, next. It took me several seconds to blank down because over here you see this clue panic. So panic is to be 紧张, okay? And over here, the opposite of that, so we need the contrast or the opposite of it. Opposite of 紧张 is not 放松. 放松 is relax. It will be to 冷静. Okay, and in order to 冷静, it's by relaxing. So the phrasal verb for this, it's also calm down. So this is also a phrasal verb. Okay, so next. I was without a single cent to pay for my bus blank and had no mobile phone to call for help. So this is nothing much. It's also a collocation. Just like how you hail the taxi down, this word fare, it just means the same as fee. Okay, how much you pay for transportation? What's my bus fare? What's my train fare? Okay. Okay, next. Had no mobile phone to call for help. To make matters blank, I could not recall my my workplace phone number. So he's already in a bad situation. So to make matters what? You cannot recall. So this is even worse. So, and you're comparing between 1 and 2. So it's just worse. If you compare 3 or more, it will be worst because it's superlative. Okay, next. I slowly blanked my composure even though my mind was racing. I decided to ask for help. As I approached the nearest stationary auto rickshaw, if you look at the stationary here, it's not spelled with an E. This means it's not moving. Okay, I need to say it can be parked there or not always, it's not always necessarily parked though. Maybe the driver's waiting for another passenger to board or the passenger to alight. This one, this stationary, would refer to your pen's pencil. Okay, next. I slowly wiped my composure even though my mind was racing. So learn this word regained. So 他慢慢振作起来. Okay. Next. Question 59. The driver, sensing my panic, blanked me his mobile phone. So, sensing my panic, what me his mobile phone? So, usually you would borrow things from someone and the person would lend it to you. Okay, but this is said in the past. Remember to follow the parallelism of the sentence structure. So, I approached, so lent me his mobile phone. There's no lended, okay? Maybe for American English, if I'm not wrong, but we follow British, so it's only LENT. Appreciative of his generosity, I dialed my phone number, blank nobody, blank my call. So I dialed my phone number. Nobody what my call. This is easier to answer, so let's answer this first. Nobody answered my call. Since you only can put one word, it cannot be pick up. So there's a phrasal verb called pick up. And for pick up, right, it has the same meaning as answering my call, answering the phone. So this would mean that if over here there's a up, then yes, pick up would be the only answer. But over here, it's only one blank, there's no up, so it's answered. Okay? Nobody answered my call. So I dialed my phone number, but nobody answered my call. Suddenly, I remembered my brother's phone and contacted him. He suggested that I blank the incident to the police. So, whenever you do something to the police, in Chinese we always say 报警, right? So this 报 means to report. It's like, how to say? In Chinese it's much simpler to understand because you would say, 我要写个报告. So that is also report, okay? So report something to the police. Okay, next. He gave his office address to the driver who had helped me. Upon reaching my brother's office, the police called and informed me that the auto rickshaw driver who had me off at the bus stop wanted to return me my handbag. Sorry, excuse me. So, the auto rickshaw driver who had what off? Don't look at the me. This phrasal verb, something off, right? Should be dropped me off. Okay? So this is also another phrasal verb. Drop someone off means to alight someone. Okay? Dropped me off at the bus stop. Wanted to return me my handbag. I blanked the honest driver some cash, but he declined, saying, "No, madam, travel safely." I what the honest driver? I offered. So it's not double R, but it is double F. So I offered the honest driver some cash, but he declined, saying, "No, madam, travel safely." That day, I had been helped by two strangers who showed compassion. It later what on me that I did not even know their names. I hope to repay them someday. This is yet again another phrasal verb. It later dawned upon me that I did not even know their names. Okay? So dawned upon means come to realization. Okay, and with that, we're done with this section. So we're just left with the last section, which is S&T. So S&T is basically rewriting the sentences or sentence that they give us in a different form, in the form that the question require, or something that they want to add. So anything that is already in that meaning, we don't have to write it again. Anything that is unnecessary, do not write it in. Don't add things by yourself. Anything else, you just copy it back in. So over here, out of curiosity. Why? Because over here, just this is an adjective. It's describing our main character here, Jessie. Jessie is a curious person. Curious is 好奇. Okay? Changing it to this is the noun form. In Chinese, it will be 好奇心. Okay? So it's just like how this is a noun. This is more like a curious nature. This is an adjective. I'm just describing how she is as a person. Okay, so Jessie was curious. She opened her birthday present immediately. So we've cleared this part. So let's do this. So out of curiosity, remember to add the comma, Jessie. You cannot write she because you haven't specified to me who's the subject that you're talking about. So Jessie opened her birthday present. Then the rest you just need to copy down. It's as simple as that. Okay, so opened. Oh yes, so I'm missing birthday. No wonder my arrows don't match. So yes, out of curiosity, Jessie opened her present immediately. So to get a bit more technical, out of. Out of is usually to express the reason for an action. Okay, so you change from two actions. This is so you go from two actions to one combined cause effect structure. Okay. Okay, next, moving on, question 67. Adrian likes the lunch provided by the organizer. His family likes it too. So over here it's as well as. What does as well as mean? As well as joins two subjects without making the subject plural. So this is a good thing to note because this always comes out in grammar MCQ. Main thing is without, okay? So with or without a comma, if you remember, anything inside the comma is not essential, i.e. to say it's extra. So taking it out of context wouldn't change how my sentence would mean. So over here, even without the two commas, as well as is always singular. Okay? So Adrian, let's just put a comma to be safe. His family, comma, likes the lunch provided. Why need add s? Because this is verb. Okay, verbs, you add s for singular. So likes the lunch provided by the organizer. Okay, so over here, next one, you change the sentence from active to passive. Active means someone is doing something to something. This is the doer. This is the thing. Passive means the thing is your main subject. And you tell me what has been done to the thing. So this is main subject. But in this case, this is main subject. So it's just varying sentence structures. Okay. So the parcels what? In this case, they told you that my sister has opened the parcels which were delivered last night. So over here, the doer is the sister, but I do not want to write my sentences in this way anymore. I want to tell you what has been done to the parcels. So I will make the parcel the main subject, okay? The main thing that I want to focus on. So the parcels which were delivered last night, and you must change the sentence, okay? has opened, so you go one back, it'll be have been opened by my sister. Okay, so that's just how you change it. Okay, so next, moving on, question 69. So this is a rather more common one. So this is changing from direct to reported. So in simpler terms, direct just means you are the one that is saying it right now, and then reported would be you telling someone else that this person said something. Okay, so basically you're not the main person that's saying or hearing the thing anymore. Okay, so over here, please accompany this pupil to the general office, Mr. Chan said to John. So you see how this is telling you that Mr. Chan is the one that is saying this personally to John. So this is what you call direct, okay? Then over here, Mr. Chan told John. This is the difference between the verb use, okay? So Mr. Tan told John would then be reported. So that is what we have to fill. So how do you change it up? How do you switch it up? Your sentence structure. So Mr. Tan, or rather Mr. Chan told John to accompany that pupil to the general office. So usually you have to change the tenses and all, but in this case there's nothing much to change, so they're pretty nice about it. Usually it will be the tense, the pronouns, and the frequency of it, the frequency that something is done. Okay, but in this case over here we didn't need to change except for this to that. Yeah, other than that it's all the same. Okay, question 70. Mrs. Lim drove her daughter to school before going for her yoga lessons. So having what? So you need to change this. Over here, it's trying to get you to change to a participle. To be more specific, a past participle. Okay? So having plus, rather I should write in a different color. So when you have having plus a past participle, it's used to shown, or rather used to show, not shown. Shown is a past participle though. One action completed before another. And the participle phrase, in this case you would change drove. So the base form of it is drive. The past tense would be drove, and past participle is driven. Okay, don't be confused, this is just past participle. If you want to use it, it's usually with perfect tenses. Okay, so having driven, that will be our phrase to use here. So the participle phrase having driven, then the rest shows that Mrs. Lim did it in first action. Okay, so the answer should be having driven her daughter to school, then just copy down the rest. Okay. Yuki, if I finish the paper, can we stop now? It's 22 already. Oh. Okay. Okay, and with that, we're done with this. So we'll see you guys in another live. Maybe it'll be a different live host. Okay, bye bye.